today we are announcing an offer to fund students in India for their startups and projects. If you're a student team who has a startup idea and want to go full-time at it, we will invest $200,000 in you if we like you. So if you're in maybe final year of college, maybe you're like 1 year before graduating from college, and you've decided to go full-time, this offer is for you. Maybe you have an idea, you have been thinking about it, you have been talking to customers, you made a first prototype or stuff like that. And you're basically now confident that you want to do this and you don't want to go for placements or a traditional path. You're already sort of like made up your mind. So we will want to invest $200,000 in such teams. And with $100,000, you can move to a city like Delhi or Bangalore, hire like 2-3 great people, get to a better version of product, get closer to customers. So yeah, that's first offer that we would like to give to people that we like. We will also invest $60,000 for 5%. If you have a startup idea, if you want to do a startup, but you cannot drop out. Like maybe you're in second year of college, maybe you're in first year, and maybe you're in, if you get a startup idea in second year and you want to commit to it, it's not easy to go full time because maybe you worked really hard to get in that college. Your parents are not gonna let you drop out. To them an undergrad degree is very important. And yes, I agree, a degree is important to participate in a lot of jobs and all of these things, structures of economy. So it's not gonna be easy to drop out. But if you have an idea that can be the next big idea of the world, you cannot just wait. You cannot just keep it in your head and be like, I will wait for 2 years until I fulfill the obligation of completing the degree and doing this, ritual of attending classes that I'm not interested in and wait on that idea. So for such team, you want to give $60,000 to test your ideas. Like a startup. Because when you tell someone that let's say you want to drop out in second year, they would ask you, do you think you're Bill Gates? Do you think you're Mark Zuckerberg? Do you think you're a big shot who wants to drop out? Dropouts. And they'll say you're not an exception. So we get that. So this is a way to bypass that. And maybe with $60,000, you can earn credibility, you can build traction, and people will believe in you more after 6 months. And maybe there is more confidence to drop out. And we don't encourage people to drop out. But what I'm saying is that we understand the situation. We understand the laws of the world. And we want to write check to people who are really passionate about an idea, and dropping out is not an option for them. So that's $60,000. We will also give a grant of $2,500 if you just have a project idea. And you don't want to start up at this point. Maybe you don't want to be a founder, you don't want to be a company and all of those fancy things. You just want to do a project, and that requires $2,500 or $1,000 or whatever, some amount, small amount to test that out. Maybe you attended computer science classes in your college and you started learning about model architectures and you realized, what if we change model architecture from this to this? Maybe the new model will be better in this way. And maybe you need GPUs for that. Maybe you need compute for that. Maybe you want to rent cloud for that. Maybe you want to hire someone for that. Maybe you want to run complicated simulations. Maybe you have a hardware idea and you want to order electronics and equipment and cameras and mechanical parts. Because you're just passionate about something to play with. So this is not like a startup, it's just something that you want to play with. It can also be a non-technical thing. Maybe you want to learn about choreography. Maybe you want to make a rap video. You grew up watching rap music and now you wrote your own rap script and you want to shoot high quality stuff. You want equipment for that shooting. So that can be the grant for it. It could fund your like technical ideas. Lots of teams we fund are technical in nature, but we can also do like non-technical stuff. It depends. And the reason why why Grad Capital likes to operate this way, why we are doing this, what's the philosophy, where are we coming from, what's the situation, what's the sitch. The situation is that we want to fund obsession of students. We want to fund people who are obsessive about something. And when they're working, things they're working on look like projects. That's what we love doing. And a lot of times you're not looking for someone who's going to pitch a big business model, comes into the room and says, I want to build $100 billion company, $5 billion company. And sort of, this is the business plan, this is the revenue, this is the pricing. No, that's not what we're looking for. None of that. Like, what we're looking for is you had an observation because you got into depths of something and you find it interesting to do more of it. One of the reasons why we operate this way is that I think VCs and generally investing, it requires you to hold equity in large companies, maybe eventually. Like breakthroughs and big ideas and revolutionary ideas. But how great companies get formed is exploratory in nature. It's conquering. It has an element of getting into depths of something. Accidental discovery. Stumbling upon. Like I'm walking and I stumble upon. Exploring a dark part of the world that wasn't explored before. An original idea that has never been articulated ever on the internet. Is the first time you're saying it. It's like you have an idea you're not repeating stuff from Twitter or LinkedIn. You observed something new, original around you. And because it hasn't been articulated, it's not going to be known to be a big idea on day zero. How will it be? Because it's not been articulated. It's not been seen. There's no like benchmark for it. And I think people have gotten the funding model wrong a little bit. Like, we have to fund explorations. And no one is willing to fund explorations. They want the comfort of end game. Like none of the Nobel Prizes in physics or bio or chemistry or maths were like, not math has Fields Medal. None of those Nobel Prizes were like, hey, I will pursue this scientific idea, this scientific idea. I will do these XYZ experiments and I will get to a result that'll get me, that never happens. It's stumbling upon. It's stumbling. Like, the biggest, most important drugs that were discovered by people in our lives, people stumbled on that, like penicillin. The stories that like I got inspired by, and I'll share my personal stories also, is that when I took the course Theory of Relativity in college, and it's obviously a very dense, complicated, long, many equations theory. Like, it is difficult equations, and general theory becomes even more difficult to grapple with. It's not easy. And the implications of that theory is an atom bomb or nuclear energy. It's big. The implications are huge. Like the atom bomb came from relativity. Nuclear energy came from relativity. Like the ideas of that. And Einstein didn't go and say, hey, I want to make an atom bomb. I want to create a theory that's going to help an atom bomb. I read the document, like I think 9 years ago maybe, when I was an undergrad. I read the document that Einstein wrote for Theory of Relativity. And on the first page, he says that his primary assumption for Theory of Relativity is that speed of light is constant regardless of the frame of reference. Like, if the frame of reference is moving, even then the speed of light will be constant. And he observed that in Maxwell's equation. He looked at Maxwell's equations, and Maxwell's equation has the hint that speed of light doesn't actually change the frame of reference is independent maybe of speed of light. And no one caught that observation, and Einstein built on that. So of course there's an element of building on the edge, but there's also an element of like just observation. And that observation, could you say that it's $1 trillion market? Or could you say that it's going to create inventions like that? That doesn't happen. And now people will be like, it's science, it's fundamental research, it's different, blah, blah. But I am yet to come up with revolutionary ideas that did not get started by stumbling from original observations. I'm yet to come across that. So that's really the theory, that we want to fund obsession. And that's why we have like these, we want to take the risk of you not being full-time, and we want to fund the fact that students can push the limits. The students in India can push the limits of knowledge, of discovery, of new technology. And that happens by going into depths of whatever you're studying. That's one way. And a lot of times it's going to be technical, because you're not going to be a politician at 25 or even 30 or even 35. Like most of the people who change the world through politics are like at least 60. So the best way for you to change the world positively is technology. And hence, like, I do encourage people to learn science and engineering. But we all like, that's one of the best ways to do it. You may wonder why then we fund non-technical ideas, and I will come to that, why we fund non-technical ideas and why we feel that even non-technical ideas has the power. I'll come to that. But that's the spirit. The spirit of Grad Capital is to fund exploration, and that's why we have these bunch of offers. And these offers, we are aggressive on each of them. Like, it's not like we make most money, of course, when we take 10% equity. So that's like money incentive for us. But we are actively reading applications on all of them because we philosophically believe that each is important to change the world. I wish I could write more grants. I wish we could do more, take more risk. And you would see, like, as a fund, as we are evolving, we are taking more risks. We are becoming more aggressive in underwriting obsession. The counter to that, this theory that you will hear a lot, is that you should take a job. Should learn the ropes of the world. Maybe join Uber, maybe join Microsoft, whatever. Maybe join like McKinsey or whatever. Maybe join a company. Maybe join a company, learn how organizations are built, and then build an organization. There's an obsession with saying that you need to know how to build organizations and how to manage people's emotions. Like, people will say the most important thing is managing people. People is the most important job, blah, blah. A lot of people will say that, and that's why you should take a job. And they will say all of that. They're not wrong. You know why? It's different. What they're saying is that if you learn to manage people's emotions, you learn how to not hurt other people while being in a corporate setup. And sort of how to climb the corporate ladder in a safe way. And maybe one day you will join a company, maybe you'll join like Uber, and you'll realize how Uber is sort of failing at something, and you'll start a competitor of Uber because you learned something, and you'll maybe start a cab company, or maybe EV bike company, or an EV car company, because you learn things from Uber. All of that. And all those like sound really good stories to VCs. Like, it's like music to the ears that, what a perfect background as an expert, and they're going to start a company, they know how this works. They're an expert, they'll throw the word like an expert so many times at you as if it means something very big. It doesn't. And I feel you get to a reformist approach with this. And reforms do happen. Like, you need to iteratively build systems. Of course, you need to build systems iteratively. And if I make a door, and if it's rough at the edges, and my hand is like getting bled because of the rough wooden edges, I would need to iterate and make it smooth. I will need a new technology to make it smoother. Iterations are important for the world, no doubt about that. But I think as a student, if you are young, your strength is that you have the time to get into the depths of the world. And that is what we are here to fund. Now, I want to address this question on should we drop out, should we complete college, taking a job and all of that. Of course, it's confusing. Like, I do believe that people need to have sophisticated thinking to start companies. And they will build sophisticated thinking while they're building a company. So they have to also learn while they're starting a company. So I would index highly on that. And for that, I would think that 18 to 22 is a great, maybe 16 to 22 is a great period to learn by doing and learn by taking courses, study physics, math, study history of the world, study why wars happened, study what technologies are used, study how technologies change our society, study how powers get shifted, studies how people make money, study what are the largest, there is lots of things that you can study. There's a lot of study I just said, but I think I'm not saying that you should give up on learning. And people who do drop out, typically, we funded, by the way, I'll give an example of a dropout, Naman from Airbound. He started a drone company and, he just we gave him a $25,000 check for 4% at that time. And now he's raised a $8.5 million round by Lightspeed and Lockheed Group, and he's doing delivery flights with his drone. And it is a world-class drone. At 16, he was doing MIT OCW courses. While building the company, he was learning physics, linear algebra, fluid mechanics. He was learning by doing. And he has a sophisticated thinking that's required to be in engineering. So it is subjective that way. I think you should not drop out without having sophisticated thinking. So it is one of cases. But if you're able to build sophisticated thinking, then you should. But what I will say, don't fall into the trap that some daddy institution will teach you sophisticated thinking. You're an undergrad in whatever, and you'll do masters in this, masters in computer science, PhD in physics. Maybe some PhD programs are reasonable. Maybe you'll join Uber. You'll learn how to write code at scale at Microsoft. You'll learn a lot of the world will tell you to follow strict paths in the name of learning. Don't fall into that trap. So it is true that don't drop out prematurely, but it is also true that people are not dropping out from traditional paths early on. They could have dropped out early and they're just being comfortable now and they're just lying to themselves that they're doing it because they're learning and growing, but it's not true. Many of the important people in the world have started out young, started committing to projects young. And I do believe that it has to happen quickly. And you have to have your own sense of, is it sophisticated? You can apply to us and we can talk about that. Another big reason why we fund grants and all of this is, I think a lot of times people underestimate how good they are and that they're not ready to apply to grad capital. But when many of times they are actually ready to apply to grad capital. So I would not hesitate in applying. I would even if you have a paper plan idea, I would apply. A company we funded, Armortrix, we initially gave them a grant for the robotics project at their college. And then we said, we want to give you more money as an investment. They didn't believe it initially. They thought it's too soon. They thought maybe they need customers. They need this much revenue, blah, blah, blah. They were unable to exactly estimate what's needed to get more money. So I think another project that we do is we tell people that you're much more good than what you think the world thinks of you. You are doing great and you are an exceptional individual, and people build this self-belief when, an outsider tells them that they are onto something. And that's why like most of the companies, like young people, grow out and become really mature and start manage large organizations because they end up believing in themselves more in the process. And so believing in yourself more is the most important internal monologue that you can have with yourself. Like, there's an internal monologue that I have with myself. Like everyone is talking to themselves in some ways. And if your internal monologue embodies believing in yourself, which by the way doesn't happen on its own. It's not like you want to watch an inspirational video and it's going to happen. It only happens by doing something real. You have a project, you make it real, you succeed at it, you get recognized for it. Only then your belief in yourself is grounded in evidence. If you're a smart person, you're not just going to take, like, it's not like if I give you empty compliments, you're going to believe it. And it's not like, if you see a YouTube video, you should believe in yourself, you'll believe in yourself. No, that's not how it works. The way it works is that you genuinely, maybe with our money, you genuinely execute a project that did really well and you were surprised how well it did. That's when like real belief in yourself happens. Yeah, so that's when you really believe in yourself. And when you start to believe in yourself, you will start with a small project. Maybe you will start with starting a club in campus, and then it'll trigger you into believing in yourself more in a way that you would want to take more ambitious projects as you're growing and growing. And that's the genesis of young people changing the world. That there was an initial idea that I wanted to try, and they take like whatever small amount of money to make it real. They realize they were really good at it, and then they take a bigger ambition, and then they take a bigger ambition, and then take a bigger ambition until like the world is not able to contain their ambition. And we haven't heard many stories from India in such a manner. And grad capital, the spirit, the goal, the objective, like the spirit of our giving money is this: to fund young people with original ideas and obsession and put them on a path that they believe in themselves more, to be more ambitious.